Alright guys, to start this project off, I'm going to cut a piece of PVC pipe that is 6 times the length of my GoPro, and then I'm going to cut a slice out of one side of it just so I can open up the pipe and lay it flat. To flatten the pipe, we need to heat it up until it becomes flexible or malleable. I like to use a blowtorch, really because I don't have a heat gun. It's really easy to scorch PVC pipe with a blowtorch, so the ideal tool would probably be a heat gun or an oven. Then I'll cut a strip out of this PVC pipe that is just a little bit wider than the width of my GoPro. And we're back to the blowtorch. I heated up just the middle of my strip, and I'm going to wrap that around this piece of wood, which is the same size and dimensions as my GoPro. Then I'll clamp it in a vise until it cools. Now that it's cooled, I'm heating up what I call the wings, and I scorched the ever-living out of the PVC pipe. Ideally you don't want to do that, but I did and it turned out alright. One thing you have to remember in this step is to put a spacer in between the two wings because there is a space in the GoPro mount that we need to account for. Then frantically try to jam it in your vise until you get something that looks like this. Now my PVC pipe was a little too thick to fit into the GoPro mount that they give you, so I thinned those out with a belt sander. Then I'll dry fit the housing into the mount. I like how it fits, so I'm going to clean up the wings, basically just round them off. That way it looks nicer, and I can also rock the housing forward and backwards without running into any problems. Then I'll figure out where I need to drill a hole in our housing, drill the hole, and then I need to estimate where I need to carve holes out in the housing so that I can see the screen and hit all the buttons that I need to. And I'm going to carve those windows out with a Dremel. If you don't have one, you can always use files and a drill. It'll just take longer. And after a few coats of spray paint, this is what we're looking at. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but it is very sturdy. I'm not worried about it breaking or the GoPro falling out, which was kind of my main worry with these housings. So I'm going to fit the GoPro in the housing. Happy with how everything looks. I'll screw the housing into the mount and we're good to go. And just in case something does happen where the mount or the housing fails, I do have a string attached to my GoPro. But like I said, I'm not worried about that happening. Now I've used this housing a couple of times now, haven't had any complaints. I use it to go bow fishing, so there's not a whole lot of high intensity movement, and it works great for my purposes. But if you're doing some crazy stuff, I would recommend not relying on a homemade bent piece of PVC pipe. So thank you guys for watching, and let me know if you have any questions.